Yes, we inherit certain things, but certain things can be changed. And I'll give you an example of that in my own family. On my mother's side of the family, going back several generations, the women tend to die in their early 60s, the men tend to die in their 50s. So it was not good genetics, right? On my father's side, the women tended to die in their early 60s, and the men tended to live maybe to late 70s, 80s. That was, the men's side was pretty good. Now, my dad died 2 years ago at 93. 6 weeks before he died, he drove across Sydney and played golf. So he had a pretty good run. My mother is coming up on 94, and yesterday I had her on the phone with a share broker for a half hour negotiating with them shares she's trading in. So she's still fairly sharp, and that was after she came back from the coffee shop and walking with one of my daughters, her granddaughter, who took her for a walk. So now they've both, for over 25 years, because of my involvement in this business and in the wellness side, they have both been taking a lot of supplements. So they've been biohacking for a long time. And is it coincidence, the health rate? Maybe, I don't know. But you know what? They didn't drop dead early, and they weren't really sick going along. So that's just a personal side. And I'll share a couple others as we go through on it. Biohacking might be someone losing weight, and that changes their health. Biohacking might be someone changing their diet significantly and deciding that perhaps having Domino's pizza delivered every morning isn't the best breakfast. You know, that's the sort of thing. And you don't think of it as that, but it's magnificent to get people to think you can actually, it's not really a shortcut, but it kind of is, because people get this defeatist mentality that they can't improve their health. And that was one of the things that, it didn't attract me to the business in the first place because they weren't doing it. But when they first started into this area of health, that's when I got really excited and started to build a large business. And then that went on, and as Elizabeth said later on, I went out, and at the time, I think I was about 140 kilos, so I lost about 50 kilos, something like that, 55 at the time, and over a period, basically using supplements and watching what I ate. And later on, myself, I wrote a book about it, and I got leading cardiologists and other people to write bits in the book, and the book took off, which was great in Australia. And then as we released the early versions of testing, I was really pushing to get it in the country. So I've always had a real interest for this, but the challenge we've had is, while it was great for the customer, it wasn't great as a business model. And what I'm going to talk today is about the business model side, because we are at the very early stages of an entirely new business that's under the Nu Skin umbrella. So you've got a 40-year-old company, but it's an entirely new venture. It is a ground floor startup without the risk of that. Now, if you think about it, that gives people who are involved or get involved in the short term that first mover's advantage. Because if you look at these charts, this comes from Boston University, it's a chart that's all around the place. But if I can get this, oh, I got a laser. I don't know what works and what doesn't, sorry. Anyone that knows me knows I'm hopeless with technology. Usually people cringe if they let me near their computer. So only 16% of people are what they call early adopters, who see something and they want it early. You know, some people, there's always those people, something new's coming out, and they've got to have it first, right? And then there's the people like me who normally would be right here, right? One day, I'll set up a TikTok account. One day. not even get Instagram. I have a group of people in the States that do all their business on social media, and they just giggle because they said, don't ask him, he can't even hardly turn Facebook on and off. So on a lot of things, I'm over here. But when I see on business stuff, I like to be over here in this run. I like to be in it enough that I know it's not going to blow up in my face and fail. But I also don't want to be down here where I miss the opportunity. And this is where you are right now, because you've got a 40-year company with a track record that's creating a whole new model. And that's what we're going to talk about. And we're going to talk about it via this little thing, Prism. And hopefully, unless Elizabeth knocked it off. No, she hasn't.
Wow.
So you look how small it is. You can just, it's in your pocket, it's there. The first one of these was like this big. Actually, the first one filled a room, the first portable one was there. So, and with this one, this is how long it takes to set up.
Wow.
That's it. And what happens, you put your finger on there, and it's 15 seconds, it'll go, it's doing 234,000 measurements in 15 seconds. Now, where did I just score?
Wow.
I take the product, right?
That's
I'll be 70 next year. I take the product. My wife scores in the same area. Now, if later on when you're finished, if you're looking at this and you want an accurate, perfectly accurate picture, get yourself tested on this. This is a prototype. It's not connected into the apps and everything else I'm going to talk to you about. It will only give you that indication of color, not numbers, and not the background at the moment. It's a prototype. It's 2 generations away from being finalized for when they launch it to some people in September. I'll turn that off so we don't run the battery down. Although they seem to go for days. You just, by the way, it just plugs in with a USB to charge it up. Takes about 30 minutes from dead flat to charge. 2 generations away. I say that and people go, oh, well, they've improved 3 generations in the last 2 months. So I was in Greece 6 weeks ago, and they've had 2 of those generational improvements since then. So that's how fast this is progressing. We'll go into that. The idea with this is it's something that can go out there and truly help people take ownership of their wellness and get better. It's backed by company credibility and the stability of a company like us. And it's unique. We own the patents. We own everything with it. No one. Now, yes, can some company come up with something that looks like that? Sure they can. I'm sure they could. We'll send a picture over to China and we'll have one knocked up next week. You know, and it'll have even nicer lights than that. But what will it tell us? Nothing. And this is where I'll go through, and this is where this credibility comes in. It's on trend. And we'll talk about all these things. There's 4 areas I'm going to cover: the business opportunity, the solution that create, how to make a solution to that, a little bit about the company, and a little bit about the actual business model we have. So the trends is this, and they say in business, trends your friend. If you're going against the trend, you're going to have a problem. You know, I've just been involved in helping sell furniture out of my mother's unit, and she had lovely old antiques. 30 years ago, those antiques, some of them were valued at $10,000 for a nice sideboard and things. Try $200 today. Antiques, not the trend at the moment, right? Because people's houses have lower ceilings, they don't have the room, so you put something that's this deep and that high, and it looks beautiful as it may be, it doesn't work. And so it won't work. You need to be on trend. And here we are, the global wellness industry is over $6 trillion last year. And the estimates is that by the next 4 years, it's going to that. It's in a massive runaway growth. Why? A whole lot of reasons. One of them is this. You've got an aging world. The world is getting older, with the exception of very few Western countries, no Western countries, and even countries like China, it's really aging. India's an exception to the rule. Now, what they've noticed is there's several areas in the world that they refer to as being the blue zone or centenarian zones. There's actually a really good documentary on Netflix about blue zones. I think it might even be called Blue Zone. So you look at these places around the world, and what do they have in common? Absolutely nothing. And you know what, when you look at it, their diets are different. Their diet in Costa Rica, and the environment's different than it is in Southern California, which is different again to Italy and Greece, which is very different to an island off the coast of Japan, where they nearly eat seafood a lot, right? So, which they don't in some other places. And so you go, wow. And so there's a lot of study has gone on into that. In fact, we did like about 5 years study on that to develop a product we call onPRYSM, which is the anti-aging nutritional supplement. But this is where a lot of data has come out about longevity and wellness. And what you find is, whilst people are living longer, and that's been happening, what's happened as people start to live longer, the area between their health span, which is living longer and being in good health, as opposed to just living longer. I don't think there's anyone that wants to live to 90 or 100 or whenever if they're laying in a hospital bed with tubes out of them, or they can't walk, or they don't remember anyone's name or anything else. That's not what they want. That's not living. So the object is not so much to live long, it's to be healthy longer. Well, you know, what do you want to do on your last day? You know, you drop dead playing golf or whatever it is you like to do, you know, and that's what we're working on. And that's where you look at this whole wellness industry and why it's taking off, because people are really concerned, oh yeah, I'm getting older, but look at all the costs, the medical costs, everything else. Medical costs are bankrupting countries. We live in one that will eventually be bankrupted by it. And a lot of it comes back to the aging area, but also oxidative stress. And that's where the environmental things cause more problems. They call it free radicals, right? They cause oxidative stress. And most issues related to aging are related to a chronic inflammation, which is caused by oxidative stress. And it's not just by pollution that just makes a good picture. It's by many, many things. And we'll go through that. So, if that's the opportunity that the wellness industry is growing like crazy, what's the solution? Take a few of our pills. That's part of it, but no, there's a lot more to it than that. And that goes to that biohacking side, and that's where we can help people. This is our head scientist, Dr. Joe Chang, who wrote a best-selling book called The Aging Myth. It was on the New York Times bestseller list a few years ago. And it's about that idea that I said at the start about we are not our parents, that we can change our body's responses and everything else by the way we live. This is the level, these are all published scientific papers, hundreds of them, that we've published since 1984. There's hundreds of them on this stuff. We have credibility in the space. Now, I don't mean just business credibility. We got scientific. I can leave that up for like 10 minutes, and it's going to keep doing that. And every one of them, you can get a hold of it and go bore yourself to death and read all these scientific reports. I will go on from it. But really, what's health span? It's where everything's starting to work, be it your gut health or your bone health or your eye health or your weight or whatever it is, because really health span starts coming down to this. Obviously it's not just supplements. Yes, we sell supplements, but what we're really doing is we want to empower people to take wellness into their own hands. And you do that by helping them with diet, lifestyle, body composition, and supplementation. Because supplementation is important, and you always get people, oh, I'm just going to eat a little better. And you go, okay, let's see how that works for you. And the beauty with this is you can say, let's make a date in 4 weeks and we'll test you again, see how much you've improved.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you what will happen 9.7 times out of 10, they won't improve. Oh, but I had a salad last week. Yes, yeah. And then you put blue cheese dressing on it. Now, so there's these 4 components of health span. It really is important because they work together. And so, now here's something fascinating to me. Look at the top. This is changing because this is the deficiencies in diets in different countries showing up. Folate, 4.2. And they're different in different parts of the world. So we have the ability to customize our products in different parts of the world to address different supplementation issues. And that's a big deal. And, oh, that's me, sorry. Tell him to wait. Apologies, I had the ringer on before. It's getting picked up by Elizabeth.
Sorry.
You look at all these, and it's fascinating. It moves. Like some countries, Australia, I think it's magnesium or something. We get heaps of, or
Selenium.
very little. Selenium we get so little of, and it's really interesting. I'm not going to keep it up there, but the point is that we're able to use all this information to develop products and solutions that work in different places. That's all great, but how can you tell? People say, well, I'm taking Centrum, or I'm taking this, or I'm taking that, or I went to a naturopath and they said take this, and my friend was taking this and she liked this. And you go, okay, well, how's your nutritional wellness? How's your wellness levels? Oh, pretty good, I think. Oh, why do you think that? Well, I just think it must be. I do the right things. I had some salmon last night and everything else. Well, there was that chocolate chip ice cream afterwards. I had some salmon. And how do you know? You can't measure. And there's a saying in science and in business, if you can't measure it, it's not real. And you can't, unless you are going to go get blood work done, you cannot accurately measure your wellness levels. Now, over the years, I actually, because I do take a lot of the supplements, I'm my own best customer. I actually once a year have blood work that looks at them all. And because I've had people tell me, oh, you'll be too high in this and too high in that, the experts. Strangely enough, my cardiologist who runs the tests for me goes, they're fantastic. He says, you're like a guy that eats fish, all the time. I don't like fish. I eat it maybe 4 times a year. Usually I'm out to dinner and someone's ordered a room at someone's house and I'm fine. But give me a steak. Let's have a steak. Let's get real. Get some meat. So, but I can measure.
Yeah.
What does that mean to someone if we can measure that? Let's have a look. You've got a small finger when you use your thumb, it's all right?
Wow.
That is important, by the way, if you're using this later, when you can use it up to the thing. Okay, take it off.
Oh, wait.
I can't get it back. Okay, she was just around here.
Am I? I thought it's purple.
Yeah.
How was it purple?
No, that was around here.
Okay.
What did you change?
But it wasn't at the bottom, don't worry. I was in a store the other day that a friend of mine owns, and we did about 20 of the staff. Everyone was in the red but these guys live on sausage rolls, beer, and cigarettes. So it was no surprise, right? It was really no surprise. But if you can't measure it, how real is it? And people are paying out, you know that approximately half of all adult Australians are taking supplements of some type. They're spending money on them, and they do not know if they work. Now, we'll be able to go out with something in your pocket, in your handbag, and measure that. And it won't just give you the lights, it links to your phone or your iPad or whatever you want it to link to. Now, oh, you guys just came up with this. No, we didn't. 22 years ago, we launched the first scanner. And it used a blue laser to measure against your skin the antioxidant levels. Okay? And it used what they call Raman spectrology, which is a reflective light. The concept has been around for 50 years, but the technology wasn't available. We became the first people, in combination with a US university, to put this together into a portable machine, into something that could test. Over time, we shrunk the machine and made it more robust, easier to use. This used to take an hour to warm up. Now it's about 2 minutes for this one that you can try later if you want. And you say, well, so what then? Is this just a smaller one? Where's the big business opportunity in that? Well, here's the problem with all these. They're expensive to manufacture. First one's over 20 grand, these over 10, and these over 5, US each. Manufacturing costs, we weren't selling them, that's our internal cost. We could not generate enough of them because the company was very strict on who could get them. And the problem with that is they can't get them out into the world. The most we ever had at one time worldwide out there was something like 1,000 or 2,000. In the whole world, we operate in 40-some markets. Now, we'll have 30,000 of those out by probably mid next year. We will be capable of putting out over 20,000 of these a month by the end of next year. We've got 4 manufacturing plants around the world. Why 4 in different locations? Because with all the tariff wars going on, we can then ramp up manufacturing wherever it's needed, but still lower the tariff. We'll be able to bring these to people in our business, in-house, to start buying them in February, and I'll tell you how you can get them before that, but to start buying them in February, for, don't quote me on the price, it's not fine, but probably around 500 Australian dollars, right? And they own it at that point. Eventually, that we can even do it to public. That won't be next year, that'll be the year after. So, over the years we've had these, that 22, 23 years, we have tested 15 million people around the world. That's a lot. That's given us 26 million sets of records, because when you get tested and they do it properly, they get a lot of information from you. And that data goes back up online and it's recorded. So we've got health data on all these people. 26 million scans. Why does that more? Because people have another one to test if their score's getting better or worse. Right? So if you start taking our life back or something and we test you again in a couple of months, and that's why there's more, which is great. Now, the leading university in the world with one of the biggest health set of records doesn't have records on 1 million people. We've got records on 26 million people. And in effect, over that 20 years, those records have been sitting in a basement at New Skin. They've been valuable and used for a couple of things, but we couldn't really use them until AI. And about 18 months ago, New Skin spent a lot of money on some data scientists. These are scientists that instead of having a glass tube, work with data. And they brought in whole teams of people, and they have been working on taking 26 million records and turning them into algorithms that are usable to give information back. Now, if New Skin had wanted money early, they probably could have sold those records for $100, $200 million. They didn't. So we own every one. Let's have a look. And we're going to go through some stuff on here, because what we think is these factors that we talked about: diet, supplement, lifestyle, and body composition, right? And what we see with the scanner we've been using is this: that when someone's low on fruit and veg and they don't take subs and their lifestyle choices are bad, they smoke or whatever, maybe they're overweight, they're going to score the lower down in here. And then as their nutritional wellness and wellness levels are better, they're going to go higher and higher. Okay? That's essentially how it works. This is taking, out of 21 million scans, this is the chart, right, of who scored where. So you can see most people, and we just did yours, and you were just in here. So this is your big area, and then you see where it starts going down. So that's out of everyone we've ever scanned. And I'm going to start breaking this down. Now let's look at someone who doesn't take our supplements, eats less than 2 servings of fruit and veg a day, is overweight, their BMI is very high, and they smoke. So this is the poster child for not looking great. Look at their chart. That's everyone. That's those people. There's none up here. Right? Now let's start looking at these factors. This is a bit fun you can have with this stuff. Let's take out the smoking. Let's say, okay, you stop smoking. Ooh. And change nothing else. That's it. Let's say that you lost a bit of weight. And I'll give you a weight story. Before I said I was over 140 kilos and stuff. When I was taking all the supplements, just as many as I take now. And I could never get my score past about here. When I lost the weight, it went out there. Still a bit heavy, but it's when they get over a certain amount. When I was obese, it was now. Okay, so this is, let's say they eat some more fruit and vegetables. None of this is us selling them our supplements yet. We've already helped them. That's one taking a supplement at half dose. Oh, that life pack's expensive. I won't take it twice a day like it says.
Yes.
I'll take it once.
Yeah.
And some people do that, right? Well, it's still better than nothing, certainly. Let's look at twice a day. So look what's happened compared to right? Worst case, this makes a difference to people. And what we've done is helped them avoid that oxidization that's coming with the environmental things to some degree, boosted their nutrition with their diet, helped them optimize a bit of activity and things, and start supplementing. And we've made a major difference. Now, we've been able to do that already with 21 million people. What can we do when we can put this in the hands of everyone? When we can have 10,000 of these around Sydney? What can we start doing? How many people do those start impacting? Even if each of you only talks to 5 or 10 people about it, suddenly it's that. Having it in your house, people get competitive. They start fighting over who's got the highest score. It's wonderful, because then they're thinking on their health, they're trying to do better things. And part of that from a business model is the supplementation sales goal. My own view is we're currently doing around $70 to $80 million wholesale sales a year in Australia for New Skin. I believe once this is fully out there, we could easily see that go up by $25, $30 million the first year and double within probably 2 to 3 years, if not quicker. how we can get them out quickly. Now, truly intelligent wellness, because you can take this and they actually, when people buy them, come with a little stand you can stick an iPad in, or you can just link it to your phone. Now, so let's say I've just done yours, and so I'm going to say, well, let's help you. Look, she's got all of let's help you. Do you want to know more about it, how it works, what the test means, everything else? Fine, give me your phone number. She gives her the phone number. I think straight to her phone. She is going to get full explanations, access to science. If she wants to be a science geek, she can. If she just wants to know the basics, she can. She's got a record. She can show her friends, the kids, the mum, and dad, whatever it is. But better than that, it's going to then start making recommendations. Because the big thing about this is the $200 million US that we've invested in the ecosystem around this. Building this, strangely enough, was the easy part. It's the AI stuff, the algorithm that around it. It's the hard stuff. And this is where you go, oh my God, because it is really complex to get this, so it's going to feed back and create a community and a support structure for people. And that support structure is where your business side comes out. It's not just going out selling this and selling stuff once. In the direct sales business, which we're in, like any business, there are strengths and weaknesses. The strength in direct sales network marketing is the initial sale. That me making a contact with someone I know and getting them to buy something once. That's our strength. Our weakness is follow-up. People in direct sales networking are hopeless as a group. Individuals may be different, maybe you're all different. They are hopeless as a group at follow-up. So how do you fix that problem? Right here. Daily customer engagement, feedback. Now she's on that phone link. It's all happening. There's an environment there, there's an ecosystem there supporting her health that's very easy for me to plug in and do a little bit that will look like a lot. It looks like it's all coming from me, but it's all being done in the back office for me. And everything is just starting to happen. And as I'm seeing that roll out, and I've been in meetings where they're showing us behind the scenes, it's incredible. I haven't gone out and done roadshows like this for 5 years. This has driven me to, because this is a whole new ground floor business that people can do. And we can easily duplicate it and update it because we've got the range of products already. This plugs into, we don't have to release one new product. Once this is out, it's going to make recommendations about this or that and everything else. And for people based on the data that we get back. If you look at it simply, they get their score. They will then get product recommendations for products on subscription, which means they're auto-delivered every month, and they get a discount for that. And why do you want products delivered every month? Because otherwise, you get to the 20th of the month and you run out, and you go, oh, I've got to nip over to North Ryde or Macquarie Park and get some more of that. But you're busy. So it's the 3rd of next month when you get over here. So your health's not improving because it's doing this. With supplementation, you need it consistently. So we have a subscription base, which is also good for our business. And then we have all the support that I was talking about, that ecosystem, that environment that's there to promote customer relationships, sponsoring people into the business, showing them how it's a simple, easy business that they can do. You just keep it really simple and allow it to co-create a community. Communities really matter, but if you're going to try and do it on your own, they can get tough, and it's then hard to duplicate. This is a system that's going to allow it to duplicate like crazy. And we've had a 40-year head start on it ever since the company was founded, as we've introduced our first nutritional products back 92, then 22 years ago this. We became the world's largest seller of at-home beauty and wellness devices about 4 or 5 years ago, after about 7 years ago when we introduced the LumiSpa, people laughing and saying, oh, Clarasol owns that market, you'll never be able to do well. Well, Clarasol doesn't sell theirs anymore. Somehow the market went away because ours actually worked. We did that with not 1 cent of advertising, not 1 cent towards all that. We know how to get this out there, and now we're putting in the PRYSM into that system. If we look forward on the roadmap we've got going forward, we've got a whole thing with the True Face Dermaceuticals, which is already out for on the skin, but on the PRYSM side, then we've also got, we bought, 2.5, 3 years ago, we bought a DNA testing company in the States. It's been around for a while, and it's still doing testing. We don't use it within Nu Skin. Nu Skin owns it. Why don't we use it within Nu Skin? Because we're doing the research and developing 2 problems with DNA testing. Because DNA testing has a lot of value for your future wellness. But it has 2 big problems. One is the way you get tested. You know, what do? Do we have people rip a piece of hair out? Do we have them spit in a cup? You know, cut themselves and do blood? I don't, you know, none of them sound great, do they, really? And the second one is the privacy issue.
Yes.
A lot of people, myself included, will be very reluctant to just go put my information out there. We will not release it, even though we have a company to do it. We could physically do it tomorrow. We are not doing it until we get it where we know it'll work, and it will enhance what we do, not to damage it. Then we'll be looking, we're going to be moving towards the wearables. In very short order, these will probably start clicking into the Apple Watches and stuff within a year. But I can see us within a period of time with our own wearables. We'll already have the connected ecosystem. We start making this whole idea of a digital twin, which shows someone, if you did these things, this is what would happen to your wellness. This is really exciting, interesting stuff. Everywhere I go with this, I said I went to that friend of mine's business the other day. It's a retail shop, and it's kind of like a shop. It's pretty much all guys. It's the opposite of this room. It's nearly all guys, right? It was a large gun shop in Brisbane, and these boys are all, you know, it's all utes and tradies and g'day mate, you know. It's definitely not here, right? And they were fighting to get their thing. Customers, forget the customers. The boss is going, what are you doing to my business? He's got 20 of his staff. It's a big business. He's got 20 of his staff over there. Customers go, can I get some help? No, I want to get my score. And they're fighting over who would get out of the red. Because the next level up was the highest score we saw, by the way. But it's fascinating to watch. Because people like gadgets, but when gadgets have value for your business, what's one of the hardest things? How do I open the door? Oh, I want to talk to you about stuff, but I don't know how. And she said, well, what are you doing these days, Graham? Well, I'm in the midst of rolling out something that we just got the exclusive rights for this wellness testing. It's the first non-invasive wellness testing that's really portable and available anywhere in the world. And we're setting up the distribution here in Australia. Boom, suddenly I got a conversation going. She's either interested for herself or she says, oh, that could be big. Right? So here's what we're looking at. And this is changing a little bit as we go along, but we have different levels in our business. We have what's called brand affiliates, where people, when they start doing a little bit of business, say sales in their group of 4,000 or 5,000 a month, not themselves, but their group. Then they go to what's called brand rep. The brand rep level will be able to buy these come February. But you can get access earlier, if you're not a brand rep yet, by getting to brand rep and doing a couple of things. If you are already a brand rep, by getting 1 or 2 brand reps in your team who do certain things and just talk to your upline, whoever, about that. and you'll be able to get them as early as November. There will be more around in September. That people who are in our business who are at Team Elite level will get one of these in September. Why do I have one now? I'm part of a trial. There are 2 of these running around Australia right now. And I'm special, yeah. I used to go to the special school, that'd be about a special level. This is on a month. I have to give this back in about a week and a half, which is another reason why I'm running around the country now. And they actually had me sign something, so I wouldn't really do much with it in public, so obviously I've agreed to do that. I did ask them and they said, oh, you're right. So then as we go along, in next year, we're going to put out, look at what they're looking at putting out. Eventually, as many as are needed for the mass market. I don't know if in 2 or 3 years how big the market would be for people to own one themselves. I don't know. But you will still, when people are buying them within the business, there's still points on them, so you're still getting compensated. They become a product like anything else, which is also very different to this. It just simplifies, it cleans it up. It's 15 seconds that changes your life, and you think, wow. And currently we'll get people not go on this and on this and say, oh, it's different. It uses different technology. This uses an LED-based technology. This is using the blue light right now, but it's also using a whole lot of stuff from those 26 million records. Guess what? There's 4 other colors. They are already working. Each one of those colors, like a white light and a red light, things, they measure different health markers. Wow. We already know which ones. They're doing that. Will they have to, oh, well, I've got the old model, it won't do it. No, it's a firmware update like on your iPhone. Yeah. That's what we'll be able to do with it. That's where it gets fascinating of what we can do. So the next thing, a little bit about the company. The company's been around 40 years, so they're not likely to go away tomorrow morning. They do over $2 billion a year in sales, so they're successful. They're listed on the New York Stock Exchange. They operate in, I think it's 44 or 45 markets. We've got 75 in-house scientists. That's a lot of scientists. Now, about half of those work on the skincare side and about half work on the, actually it's about 40, 30. Most of them, a little bit higher number, work on the nutritional side. This is what they've invested. This is US dollars, so that's not Aussie peso. 800. Yeah, if you try and buy anything at the moment, you know what I mean. You know? Wow. I can't believe it. My daughter lives in Drummoyne with her husband. I take them out to dinner and I'm like, wow, that's good, you know. But they spent, well, in the process, 500 million US dollars, 800 million Aussie, over the last 4 years. Well, by the time we get to this year. 200 million out of that was just on this and the ecosystem around it. We are not putting that money into this because we think we'll sell one more thing or, you know, a little thing. We see it as a massive move. Well, this is just all the countries they're in. We're really on a mission to empower people. And whether that's our consumers or people in our business, and our vision with the business is to become the world's leading affiliate opportunity. And you look at that and you say, affiliate opportunities. Well, I could be an Amazon affiliate, right? And I could sell something on Amazon. So let's say we go on Amazon and we're selling something. Let's say it was a brochure. If it sells really well on Amazon, you know what Amazon does? Their algorithms track it. And suddenly, when you go to look at that for that product, you get an Amazon clone of a product that they own above yours for $5 less.
Yep.
And anyone that's been in that knows what I mean, and they will just criticize. We're here where people really can make money. We have created over 1,500 US dollar millionaires already. That's 1,500 people, just like me or you, who start out this in a part-time basis, have then gone on and built a business, have earned over $1 million US. That's a lot. And we do that in the same space where we're not just all about the money, but we're about empowering people, about doing something decent and partnering with people. Where we're really leadership driven and customer obsessed. And I really love that. You know, it's really important. Because without leadership, you don't have anything. But without customers, you also don't have anything. You know, without customers, it's all talk about how much money you can make. But without leadership, it's not going to drive either. We became the world's #1 seller in beauty and wellness at-home devices. That's a big deal. We kicked all the household, the brands you name that they sell at David Jones or wherever, sell nothing like the amount. And in many cases, like Claire, they just don't sell anything anymore because the market got taken away. And we are the only company out there who's really been able to successfully integrate beauty and wellness. About half of our business is in nutrition and half of our business is in skincare and beauty. Now, sometimes it's 60%. The last few years, it's been about 60% in the beauty and 40% in the supplementation. A few years ago, it used to be the other way. I would suggest in a couple of years with this, it'll be back at that. But it's around half. Whereas we look at some other companies that may be considered competitors, say a Herbalife, if you know who they are, very successful company. And they would say, oh, we do both. True. 90-10. 90% supplement, 10% the beauty stuff. Mainly only sold to their own distributors. We look at someone else, trying to think of someone in the beauty side. Okay, well they're very similar. You know, it'll be 90-10 or 80-20. And if you go to ones on the skincare side, it'll be 90% skincare and 10%. They have a few of the other products. They usually just buy them in. We're the only one out there that really can balance this. And while we make a lot of money, and they do $2 billion, that's one of our founders, Steve London, and I had the great joy of being in Africa with him in Malawi when we were doing this, doing the Force for Good program. That's where we take some of the money from each product sold and some of the distributors donate some money, and we produce a nutrient-dense food that is we give out around the world. In fact, we feed over 120,000 children a day around the world. It's absolutely amazing. We've given away over 850 million meals. Not 1 cent of government money, not 1 cent of advertising. Real meals, real people on the ground. We'll be at 1 billion meals within the next couple of years. So we're getting out there helping the underserved world. You know, they're not being served. We're able to do that, and maybe their incomes aren't to the level where they can utilize this, but we can still give something back. And we're about to do, in India, we're November 1st, we're opening in India. It's obviously a huge market, and it's a very young market. It's one of the youngest markets in the world. Look at it's just incredible numbers for when you're in Australia. You know, they got cities with more population than we have in the whole of Australia. And you say, what's that matter? Look at this. This is fascinating, going back to that nutrient stuff that I talked about earlier. This is this portion of the Indian population with inadequate intake. Look at folate. It's incredible. But look at magnesium. Australia's magnesium, we've got far more missing out on more magnesium than they do. Every culture and country is different. It's different because of the geography, the agriculture, the environment, and diet. So let's look what we could do. If we see that and we know that, we're launching November 1st in India. So do we just ignore that? Or do we go, hey, let's design our supplements, especially for India, that address those things,
So cheap.
right?
So cheap.
And then, day one, November 1st, we launch into India with that.
Wow.
So they can measure, test, and prove, because we'll be a new company in India, and they'll say, why do I trust you? We can measure. No one else can. That I mentioned Herbalife before. They do $1 billion a year in India. Now, in about half the countries we operate in, that they operate in as well, like Australia or the United States or Taiwan or wherever, about half the countries we operate in, where both those companies operate, we do more business than they do. And about half they do a bit more than us. It's not unfair to say that given time, we'll be able to do as much as they're doing in India. The first year in India, we will do over $100 million US. There's no question. So there's a big market there as well. Think of how many Indians are in Australia, the largest immigrant group for the last few years. But we're not just saying, I'll take the product from here and take it over there. We've got scientists designing something for their market and also understanding the costs in those markets. So what's in it for you? If we're doing all this great stuff, but what's in it for you as a potential business owner, someone with a bit of entrepreneurial spirit? Well, let's look at the business model for a second. It's that leadership driven, and what it means by that, any organization needs leadership. And things work better with leadership. Whether it's a football team, whether it's a country, you know, and I always look at Australia and I go, here's a country that has become mediocre because of lack of leadership. And I'm not picking on one side of politics, they're both hopeless. I mean, seriously, it's an embarrassment. You know, they couldn't lead a cat across the room. Leadership in business or in anything is critical. And the way we get high quality leaders in this business is we're willing to let them earn a lot of money. And we're customer obsessed by looking after the customers with the absolute best products, because then they come back to us and they say, I want more. I love the product. I don't want to stop taking it, which makes our job easier. And then we use something called the power of three. We went back and we used some of that AI to look back at 20 years of records, and we realized something. People that get at least 3 customers, people that sponsor at least 3 people in their business, and people that get at least 3 people who become what we call brand reps, in other words, they build at least 3 teams, in every category, they're the most successful. You see a chart and it just goes less than 3, most quit. 3 or more, uncanny. It's almost like the magic of 3. Take you through something. There's really, speaking of 3, there's really 3 areas in income in the business. People get in the business, they like the products, they use them, and they share the products with customers. And they tell a few friends about the business. And in that case, they can make themselves a few $100s a month. They might make a little more, but that's about what they're doing. And they can start day 1. They can literally have money in their bank account day 2. All run off their phone. They don't need, that's what they need, a phone. Android, iPad, whatever, doesn't matter which method, they all will work. You just need that communication. And share stuff you like. Very simple. Some of those people will then go on and they'll say, hey, I'm going to build a team of people. So we say, oh, I'm going to get, you guys will all work together and we'll develop a little team. And at that point, I might start making 2,000 or 3,000 a month. Right? It's like, oh, that's a very nice second income at that point. And I can send the kids to private school, or I can afford the mortgage. Well, in Sydney, I can afford to buy a parking garage or something. That's building a team. Then the third group, and that's really what who I'm talking to today, is people looking at this. Because with this, it's the opportunity to go out there and do that very rapidly if you get off your backside and focus for a little bit, for a year or 2, while we introduce it, is you go out and build multiple teams. So I say, okay, here's a team, here's another team, here's another. Just like I've gone out and bought a few Subway stores around Sydney. I've got a Subway store at Parramatta, I got another one at Drummoyne, I got another one at Balmain, you know, that sort of thing. Well, I'm going to make more money than just having one Subway store. I'm going to make the least money working in the Subway store, owning the Subway store, which is pretty much number 2, I'll make more. If I own multiple Subway stores, obviously I'll make more. And that's the ability you've got right there, and that's where you start making much more money. How much? Well, it depends. Everyone's different, but these are averages. Now, this is based out of the US in US dollars because it's more international, but it gives you an idea. So, we have a lot of people that just use the products at wholesale. They sign up and say they're an affiliate, but they don't really sell them, obviously. They don't make much money. But the ones that are active start making, you know, little bits. And then by the time you're down here, oh, that's starting to get interesting. Now, that's a person who's built 3 teams. Didn't we hear something about the power of 3 before? Yeah. Right? Well, there it is. Okay. So I can make $4,000 a month. That's pretty nice, extra, and I still have my regular job and everything. Oh, great. And then you have the nutcases like me that go out and build it as a full-on business, and when you reach the higher levels, and that's with 6 teams. Yeah.
But you're more than that, aren't you?
Way more than that.
Way more than that.
Way more than that.
That's, we can't get into that. But that's an average, right? So some people make less, some people make more. The point being, I think anyone can see this could be worthwhile if they pursue it. What happens if we go out and we do another $30 million a year or something, $40 million a year, just in this in the next couple of years, and you get 10% of it or 20% of it? Someone's going to.
Yeah.
Someone's going to get it. Why shouldn't it be you? I don't know. The only reason probably is because you don't think it can be. Oh, I don't think it could be me. I'm English. I can't do that sort of thing. We can pick on the English. They're the last group we can pick on. They have no representation. So it's really about you can build your business your way. That's the neat thing of it. The way I built mine is not the way you necessarily have to build yours. And you know what? That's fine. This is not McDonald's. We are not going to force you to stand over the French fry thing and say it's 3.2 minutes. You can do it, you know, the way you want to do it. And it is different. But how big it will be really depends. I was on a cruise around the Mediterranean about 6 weeks ago. 5-6 weeks ago, with Nu Skin. Nu Skin hired the whole, they took the whole cruise ship. The cruise ship normally has about 1,200 people, guests. There was about 650 of us on from the whole company worldwide, including company staff. So it's probably about 400, 500 distributors, like cars, and the rest were companies, high-level management. The interesting thing, so all these people are different, they come from different cultures, but they all got one thing in common. They're all pretty successful. I don't know what the average income on that was, but it's well above what they would show. One lady, Tui, from right here, I watched her walk across, says you get 100,000 US, so what's that, 150, 160 Australian bonus. That's on top of what she made during the year. So, there was people there doing well. But you know what's fascinating when you sit and you meet them and you chat with people? That some people were doing it one way, some people were doing it another way. And it was quite different. A guy named Rainho from Singapore. He's been, at times, the highest monthly checks in the company. Something like 1.3, 1.4 million in a month. Basically only runs with one set of product. It's a weight loss program. Not really interested in anything else. Other people might only run with, say, the Lumi. Other people, different things. Well, suddenly they're all getting interested in this because they see a business opportunity. But you get to build a business your way so you can do it how it suits you. And if you're ancient like me, you're going to do it very different than if you're 20-something like you. You know? And that's fine. That's the beauty of it, is it gives you an ownership from that. And we're going to use this as a base to do that. Now, you're welcome to try this. One thing I will just say, remember it being a prototype, if you've got small fingers, use your thumb. And because if any light peeks out around this, you won't get an accurate measurement. What's happening with it? 234,000 measurements in 15 seconds? Any light that escapes, it's not getting it. So if you leave it half off and then do it properly, you'll see a big difference. Or it won't measure at all, it'll just keep scanning. You say, what's happening? I'm not even scoring. Well, then wait, get your whole finger. All you gotta do is get it right over it, right? So if you got small, my fingers are fat, so I can, but with a thumb, really does cover it. But that looks nicer on the picture.
Yeah.
Do you need to clean your hands?
If you've been out
So that's it.
working,
Oh, is it blinking? Yeah.
oh no, sorry, I went past it. The, let me let it reset. The, if going to the hand, if you've been out, like your husband, working on things and you've got dirty hands, clean them. If you're doing tests and stuff and you want the most accurate, then go ahead. However, and you will find you'll get slightly different readings. Now I've let it go too long, I've got to show them. Sorry. Talking and doing it, it's simple, it's not that simple. So the light has to be flashing. If you're passed along and it's not going to suddenly work because you put your finger on it. The other thing is, when we're doing it, wiping it is a good idea and everything. If someone has a tissue, we'll use that.
But no
But,
chemicals. No chemicals.
no, you don't need it. But it's just to give you an idea. As I said, it's a prototype. There's several things they're finalizing. One is the algorithms, like I talked about, and that ecosystem. The other is you've got different people with different skin types, with different skin colors, and color's very important when you're measuring using colored light, right? So if I've got someone from Fiji, right, and me, we're going to have different skin color. It's got to read both of them, and getting them to read both accurately, they can set it up so it reads me accurately or you, but getting it to do all of us is actually pretty, and that's why it's a prototype, and that's why they gave me one to take around and test, because all the info goes back. We don't get everyone's details, but it's going back because they can tell, oh, it did 150 scans, and oh, it didn't read this, and it didn't read this, and it did read this, and that's that process. And the reason they get them out, it helps them speed up the process.
So it could identify
If you
the
want,
skin color.
if you want accuracy, use this at the moment. You'll get reasonable, but okay, you've already done yours.
So are you saying that it could actually read the skin color of the people you're testing at the
It's
moment?
going to read the antioxidant levels and the other things in that skin. It's not so much, and because you're having absorption of light, obviously different colors and different skin types will reflect light differently. And let's say you had a lot of hand lotion, that will affect it. So anyone that's got a lot of hand lotion, it's going to affect it because it's going to bounce off the shine on the hand lotion. So it's just, but it's very basic stuff. She's relentless, isn't she?
Yeah. That's why she's successful.
But just wait till the light flashes, okay.
Yeah, Graham, did you want to, are we doing
Yeah,
this
we're
now?
done.
Yeah, we're done. So,
Thank you very much. I'll pass this around.